Good morning, friends. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we have a very interesting video planned for you. And I encourage you to please listen to everything that I have to say because it's going to encourage you to do something that maybe you wouldn't normally do. And what that is, you know how when you do a photo shoot and you upload your photos into Lightroom and you're filtering through them and deleting duplicates and reorganizing, and then sometimes you come across photos that maybe are just not good, right? They're either like a little bit too dark, a little bit too bright, and you're just not really sure what to do with them. And you play with them a little bit, but it's just not looking good. Well, those are the images that I encourage, if you have the time, to really try some creative stuff with it. The image on my screen here is the image that I am referring to. Now, before we get into this, I need to give you some background about this image. Okay, this image was taken back before I started being a wedding photographer. This was when I was a newbie practicing with, model brides, things like that. I had gotten, I believe it was the Nikon D3400. Yeah, Nikon D3400. That was my entry-level DSLR camera back when I started. That's what this was taken with. Although it is a really decent camera, it's not a full frame camera. It has some limitations, and it's not necessarily the best camera for professional wedding photography, which I have then upgraded. As you can obviously tell in this image, I had no lighting, no flash, really kind of just, I'm going to shoot with the moonlight and hope for the best. That was my mindset that night. So as you can see under my histogram, I shot this at ISO 400. It was a 55 millimeter f-stop 4 and 1/400th of a second. So, I mean, even those settings were horrible. That's not what I should have done. But again, I was a newbie at the time. So, okay, so if I were to redo this image now, of course, there would be lighting, different camera settings, more of a prime lens for a big open, aperture, things like that. But this image, I thought this would be a perfect example of what I would do to kind of make it into a work of art. So I really hope that you stick around and see all the little actions I do. And I hope that this teaches you something, whether you're a beginning photographer, intermediate, or advanced. The point of this lesson is just to take an image that's not so good and play with it. Expand your horizon, try things, see what works and what doesn't work. And at the end of the day, if it sucks, then, well, if anything, you had more experience with Lightroom and Photoshop and doing fun stuff. So let's get started. I kind of have a baseline idea of what I'm going to do with this, but we're going to figure this out together. So first thing, I'm going to go ahead and bring the temperature up. Maybe about there. As we can see, it's really green. So we're going to change the tint. And if you hear my kitty meowing in the background, she always wants to be a part of every video I film. Like, she is right here next to me, always meowing. So she thinks this is her show. All right, so shadows, we're going to bring this up quite a bit, about right there. All right, we're definitely going to add some clarity because you can see like how horrible that is. Not a ton. We're going to add a little bit more clarity later on. This is just kind of like a jumping off point. Okay. So we have dark mountains, dark bride, dark sky. I think that for this one, we should go ahead and do like a radial gradient. And let's just kind of play with this. Let's start wide, and then we can always change the shape as we go. We're going to expose her a little bit. That kind of makes it look like there's a little bit of flash on her. And what happens if I bring this down? About right there. Let's bring up some highlights, get some detail into that dress a little bit. And let's bring up the whites because we're looking a little off. All right, and then we're going to do clarity on her. All right, a little clarity there. And then let's bring up texture a little bit as well. There we go. Okay, so we have a little bit of light coming on her like that, and we can see a little bit of these greenery details, which I like. Okay, let's move on to let's do some work with the noise because, you know, obviously, as I stated, this was a very dark setting. All right, gonna bring noise. This should soften this a lot. Let's see. It's already a little bit better. It's not so grainy in the sky. I'm actually impressed that there's not more grain than that. I might have to get that old camera out and play with that more. This is really good, not horrible in low light situations. All right, let's bring up the contrast because we want to preserve some of that contrast. I love contrast, you guys. If you can't tell by now, let's bring up the color. I want to preserve the color in addition to bringing up that noise. And then all about the details, right? So we're going to bring up details maybe around there. And remember, every time you move one of these controls, the slightest movements overall, like when you do multiple small adjustments, it makes a powerful overall, you know, look to your image. So don't feel like you have to go super wild on every single adjustment to make a difference in the picture. Sometimes it's just a bunch of little things that make the big difference. Okay, so I'm really happy with this. The only thing is, let's go ahead and click on this. I want to bring this a little bit wider, I think. Bring that down. Because I don't want this bottom part to be completely dark. I want to see some of that. Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move this into Photoshop. Photo. So go to Photo, Edit in, and Photoshop. And it's going to take a minute to go over because when I'm doing screen recording, it takes a little bit. Okay. All right, so now that we're in Photoshop, what do we want to do with this? I'm thinking it might be cool to maybe add some smoke into here, right? Like, well, we're going to remove his hand later. Don't worry about that right now. Let's try it, see what happens. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this background. And then let me get my smoke stuff, saved overlays. I keep all my overlays here in a folder, and then I label everything as to what they are. So let's do some fog and smoke. And I can't tell you where I bought these from. They're so old, I don't even know, but if you Google like different photographers that sell bundles, stuff like this will come up everywhere. Okay, I like this one for the floor. Excuse me, let's bring that down. And let's kind of boost that up a little bit and bring that down. Okay, let's try that. And then before I start changing the blend modes, I think it would be cool to maybe do another fog smoke on the side. So maybe, let's see, 5, 6, so that's too much. Actually, I'm thinking maybe 5 is going to be it. Let's do 5. Remember what I always say, we're going to trust the process, okay? We're going to trust the process. Okay, so let's go back. Let's turn this layer off. Let's work with this one first. Let's go ahead and play with our blend modes and see what looks good. So there's screen. There was another one I like too for smoke. I think it's, yeah, exclusion. I like that one. Okay. Anytime I'm in Photoshop, in order to just kind of save my work as we go, I like to do, let's pull up our history. I highly recommend you do this. Take snapshots. So like this is what we started with. This is where we're at right now. I like to take snapshots of a lot of different actions. All right, let's turn on 5. This one, if we do screen, that looks pretty cool. That looks very realistic. Let's do screen for this one. Yeah, I like that a lot. That looks really good. Now we can always bring down the opacity. Let's see what it looks like if I bring it down. Yeah, I think just light, like maybe around 71% is good. But I want to keep this one at 100. Okay, let's turn that layer on. Okay, so as you can see, we've already, let's take a snapshot of that one so we don't lose it. We've already done so much to this image from the very beginning. I mean, you saw what that was in the very beginning compared to what we have now. This is a big difference. So we're getting somewhere. The next thing I want to try on here is this moon. I really want to make this moon vibrant and I a big like ray of moonlight. I think that would be really romantic. So let's go ahead and do a gradient. Let's go to our radial gradient. And you see how the color is already white? Look at that. Look at that moon. Look at that moon pop. Okay, that is cool. It's like a big hazy moonlight with the fog. I like it. But this is a little too much. We don't need it that bright. Okay, so we're going to bring the scale down. Oh, how about, what do you think? Right there? Or maybe, I like that. Like, let's see, 34. Let's bring it to like 45. That's a good happy medium. I hope you agree. Okay, Control T. Whoops. Let's click on, double click that, and then we can go ahead and move it around and kind of center it right there. So that really adds a pop of moonlight to the image, which I am really loving this. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and remove the hand. So again, I'm going to take another snapshot. As you can see, this is what we came in with, and this is where we're at right now. Okay, so we're going to create another layer. We're going to move it to the top. Okay, we are going to take the clone stamp, and I'm going to do Command plus to really move this over, and I'm going to hit my Shift bar and drag the image over with my mouse. Okay, we're going to bring this up, Control Option, Control Option, and drag your mouse over, and that will change the size. And I'm on a Mac, by the way. Okay, so we're going to just start kind of, let's see. Okay, so it's not working. So I run into this issue every so often. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, since I already have a snapshot of all my layers, I'm actually going to, I'm going to merge visible layers. So it brings it all into one for me. I'm going to duplicate this again, and then this should work. Yeah, there we go. All right, so we're going to just get rid of his hand. Control Option, drag your mouse left, and that will change the size. And we're just going to slightly just change it to how we like it. Okay, now to zoom out, it's going to be Command and the negative symbol. All right, so his hand is gone. Now I think that we can add, let's do a snapshot. Okay, we can add some cool looking like waves to her dress, so we can really play with the way that her dress is. All we have to do for that is go to Filter and Liquify. I love the Liquify tool. It is so fun. All right, so I have it on this setting right here, which is the forward wrap tool. And I'm gonna make my brush a bit bigger. And then click and just kind of drag this out a little bit. Now you gotta be careful with the pixels down here, right? So you don't wanna distort too much to where the ground doesn't look good. But just like little adjustments really go a long way. I'm gonna bring this in real small. And then let's maybe pull some of this out a little bit. And there's no right or wrong way to do this. It's honestly just whatever you think looks good. And that's the beauty of photography. Well, and of course what your client thinks, right? Because they're the ones hiring you. My clients hire me because they know I like to do a lot of artistic edits and that they love that. Every once in a while, I will get a client that only wants super bright and airy or only wants dark and moody. And I respect that, and I'll give that to them if that's what they're wanting. But 9 times out of 10, my clients hire me because I can do stuff like this, and they love it. They love it so much. So you just got to kind of play around and see what you like. Let's bring this up. I'll bring this even more out, make it dramatic. Have you guys played with this tool before? Do you like this tool? Let me know in the comments, because I think it is so fun. So fun. Okay. All right, cool. I like that. Let me just bring this down a little bit. All right, so we're just gonna hit OK. And there we go. There's what we did to the dress. We just added a bunch of movement in there. So I'm gonna take another screenshot. All right, so this is what we came in with, and this is what we have. Now, in order to play more with, sharpness and clarity and contrast and colors, I'm actually going to take this back into Lightroom. Export this back into Lightroom. You go to File, and you do Save a Copy, and then you have to do it as a TIFF, and it'll automatically pull up the Lightroom area that it came from. So you just hit Save. I already did that. So this is the image now back in Lightroom. All right, so from here, to finish up the image, I'm just gonna really play with things and see what looks good. I'm just gonna mess around with some stuff, add some contrast, add more highlights. I want shadows up, shadows down. I think I'm gonna paint on my shadows actually. Let's see what I wanna do. Let's start with clarity. Okay, let's bring that up. Really bring up this clarity. And she's a bit orange too, so we're going to change that up. I really like how soft the green is, so I'm not going to touch those, but I am going to paint on the rocks because I love the detail of these rocks. That looks so cool. All right, and up here, I love that clarity of the rocks. All right, I'm gonna hit done. The next brush I want to do is going to be, let's do temperature. I'm gonna paint where the pink is. See, if you slide this around, it gives you kind of like a cool effect. I think I like it at about 43. All right, next brush. Let's do a tint, and I'm gonna paint that on the blue. Ooh, it made that purple. You see how cool that is? Let's see if we bring that, oh yeah, let's do about 19, so it's not too purple, and definitely not green. We don't want green. All right, done. Let's play with our tone curve. What happens if we bring that up? It makes it a little too hazy for my liking. I don't like either one of those, actually. What right there? That looks good. So I just slightly made a little curve. Okay, she's very orange. So let's bring our orange down a little bit and our orange luminance up. See how that brightens her up? And then we have some green here. Let's see what happens if we bring our green up. It changes it a little bit. And our luminance on the green. If we bring that down, it kind of deepens it. I like that a lot too. All right. Going to bring up noise reduction again. What happens if we put a little vignette? Oh, that looks nice. Let's play with the midpoint a little bit. Maybe right there. Nice, soft vignette. See, that makes it hard, so let's bring that very soft. That looks good. I like it. I like it a lot. All right, that's going to be the final image. Thank you so much for, hearing what I have to say about taking an image and making it something really cool. We added smoke, we added moonlight, we added a bunch of clarity and color to it. That's the thing, is you can do whatever you want with an image. If it looks bad, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad image. Just have the willpower and the guts to just play with it and see what you can do. And over time, you'll see how you can rescue an image from not good to make it something really cool. I think this is so cool. I think I'm going to do a series on this of what it's like to have a bad image and make it into something cool, because I have the whole fall wedding season coming up, It's currently August of 2022, and wedding season is about to start this month. So I'm going to have a number of weddings where I'm going to be filtering through images and finding things that aren't necessarily great, and then doing a filming session like this and see if we can make it into something really cool. So please follow, like, comment, comment anything you want to see, comment what you thought of this, or if there's something that you would have done differently. I really want to hear what you have to say. All right, guys, I'll see you next time. Thank you.